A regular meeting of the Delta County Commissioners is being held this date pursuant to the following call. In a letter to the Commissioners dated September 12, 2024, and reading as follows. The Honorable Members of the Delta County Board of Commissioners. Dear Commissioners, a regular meeting of the Delta County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Tuesday, September 17th at 5:15 p.m. in the Delta County Conference Room at the Delta County Service Center. Sincerely yours, Nancy Presrocki, Delta County Clerk. Please rise for a word of prayer. Lord, as we begin this meeting, we are thankful for our many blessings. We ask for guidance to help our commissioners make decisions in the best interests of the citizens of our county. And we pray for the safety of our military men and women. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Commissioner Melner?
Here.
Commissioner View?
Here.
Commissioner Crosdell?
Here.
Commissioner Vangenhoven?
Here.
And Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
Welcome for coming. Special order of business. Approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, county board meeting on 9/3/24. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Need a support.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion pass. There was no committee of the whole. We need the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as written, hand it out or whatever.
Can I get support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Number 7, presentation of written communications received and forwarded.
Not at this meeting, it'll be at the next meeting.
Okay. Number 8, reports of standing statutory special committees and others. Public comments on agenda items. Anybody have any public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, we will move on to committee reports. Administrator report.
You'll be hearing from me from the budget presentation later on.
Finance Committee minutes from 9/5/24.
So the Finance Committee minutes from 9/5/24, there was a discussion of creating a part-time magistrate position. There were no decisions actually reached on that. There's additional fact-finding and information that's needed to be gathered that will be continued here at a future finance meeting.
I have a motion to put the minutes on file.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 3, IT Committee report from 9/12/24.
We had our first, I'll speak first, and if you have something to add.
That's fine, Steve. Commissioner.
On September 12th, we had our IT committee, first meeting without a committee of the whole. I thought it went very good. Brandon, Corey Villian, and Cody Bushler, he's the tech support specialist, and Brandon is our IT director. They kind of ran us through all the items that they do in the county, and it was amazing. I mean, I can't take the time to explain everything to you right now, but just to give you a couple highlights. He's willing to partner with any of the townships in doing, if they have issues with their websites, and maybe have a link to the county website. He's willing to look at the security issues they may have. And he did talk a lot about the ADA compliance that needs to become part of all the communications with government. in the new laws that are gonna take effect, I think around 2027, if I ain't mistaken. And he's right on top of it. So I was real happy with, the stuff he did like that. And one of the main issues that he had concerns with that I'd like to let the commission know about was the Justware software is an outdated software that has been used by our different court systems for years. And both the, let me see, what is these, probate and circuit court has already went over to the new system, which is, JIS, which is also universal throughout the whole state. And he's hoping that district court will migrate over to that within the next year or two. And his concern is if something happens with that program, it's not supported anymore. So if there's something that, and it could be a lot of effort, resource, and time to try to document everything that could be lost. Not that it'd be lost forever, but there could be some stuff that would cost the county a lot of money to transfer all that stuff. And one of the other main things that I'd like to mention is that we have 3 servers, which is pretty big servers. And he explained the reason for the 3 servers. He said 1 goes down, no big issue. 2 goes down, he can start moving stuff virtually from one server to the next and still protect everything. So we got 3 lines of defense on the way he has it set up. And eventually, he has also made it known that he likes Delta County, and he plans on staying here. And I'll tell you what, the way they talked in that meeting and what's going on, we have to count our blessings to have these guys. I mean, you know what, you want to make a couple
Yes.
comments about?
Oh, that meeting of the IT just really kind of blew me away. The overview of the departments, the hardware with the courts, example, the heavy use of software in Delta County and who uses it. Like Steve, Commissioner View said, with the JIS system, 2 courts are already gone over, probate and circuit. District Court has not. They're still on the old system. The overview and records management of software and the use by the local law enforcement, and how they're managed and how they're paid for. I mean, we got from top to bottom, and it was, 2.5-hour meeting, Commissioner View?
Yep.
It was long, but it was lots of information. The website, the ADA, to go on what Commissioner View said, accountability for it. Other partners who have it present and is like the road commission has it, the landfill, the county parks, and a few townships. So it was a great meeting. I walked out of there and my head was kind of going like that, but in all, it was very good.
One more comment too. I just seen in here that Brandon has created, hosts, and maintains for the Supreme Court Administrative Office and the State Polygam Network a ticketing system that they utilize on his he doesn't charge anyone for nothing, but he created this system that is used throughout the state. And I thought that was pretty nice. And he also has the ability, the way we're set up, that every public safety vehicle in the county, or Escanaba, Gladstone, sheriff, if in an emergency, any police officer or sheriff can get into anyone else's car and have access to all their files and records. So, I mean, it's something that people just take for granted, everything works fine, but these are the guys behind the scenes that make it available to have these iPads and everything else as information that we need. So kudos to them. And Ashley too. No, but they run everything through you. So, I mean, yeah, you're right on board with them is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get a motion to put the IT committee report on file?
So moved.
Support. Oh, sorry.
All in
No,
favor?
that's good, yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Departmental updates.
Hello, good evening, members of the board, members of the public. I will be brief. I'm just here for a few things. First, I would like to recommend, and I'm sure Commissioner Van Ginhoven and Commissioner Jensen can go into more detail about this, but under the unfinished business for agenda item number 1, I'm going to recommend to the board that when you come to that, you table it, because obviously we'll expand on this later, but we're still going through a process of refining our selection, which involves some close negotiations with the company that the airport board would like to select for entering into this fuel agreement, and it's going to be contingent upon what we decide on. So we're just not in a position right now at the airport to make a clear recommendation to the county board until we go through a few different items with that company. The second thing I would like to provide an update on is that, or a reminder rather, is that Honor Flight Mission 24 is going to be going at the airport tomorrow. We are all very excited and proud to participate in that and host that event. The aircraft will be arriving at 5:30, and they will load up with passengers and depart at 6:30 in the morning. Families and guests are welcome to attend. We will also have waterline work being done on Thursday of this week at the airport. We do not anticipate any operational interruptions or a lack of water service to the airport. The access road, however, will be cut down to 1 lane, so I would just ask if anyone's planning on traveling to or from the airport on Thursday that they just maybe take off a little earlier or plan around that. So the traffic might be slowed down a bit, but otherwise we should be fine. And then lastly, big announcement, one of the things that I'm super excited about, and it's been a personal goal of mine since I took over last October, but night flights, night commercial flights, overnights will be returning to the airport, which means beginning in December, we will facilitate business travel. So basically, we'll have a very early morning flight during the week where business travelers can go out and arrive in Detroit and take care of business and go on to connections. The Minneapolis flights, which we're going to head out to the West Coast, will occur in the afternoon. And then late in the evening, that Detroit flight will return. So theoretically, we could have business travelers departing from here in the morning and returning in the evening. So that should boost our numbers at the airport and should help the community in a really great way.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, general orders of business, unfinished business, airport RFP.
Make a motion to table.
I'll support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Business, payment of bills.
It's always a good thing.
I have examined all claims presented and recommend payment of the following, and that the county clerk be directed to issue orders on the county treasurer to the claimants for the amounts allowed. Sorry. I will give you the totals. Just online is a little slow.
4 bills, it's under 4 bills.
Do you have it? Here. The grand total of bills is $1,513.70, and commissioner expenses of $930.86. I apologize for that.
I'll make a motion to accept the report, financial report. Pay
Can I have a
bills.
second?
Support.
Any discussion? I need a roll call vote.
Commissioner View,
Yes.
Commissioner Crosdell,
Yes.
Van Ginhoven,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
and Melner.
Yes. Okay, our bills are paid. Now, we need we're going on to number 2, RFP, concrete floor for sheriff's boat garage.
Our maintenance director, among other employees, were in attendance when we opened the bills, or the bids on Friday. He did review them and is recommending awarding Peninsula Concrete for the project of $11,414.40.
Can I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the RFP for the concrete floor through Peninsula Concrete for $11,414.40.
I'll support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just noticed there's a big discrepancy in the amount. Was there any discussion on, I mean, because it was almost double, I mean, from what I've seen?
Corey did contact, suppliers, making sure that the materials, were accounted for, that.
The right
So,
bag
Yep, he
makes
did his
sense.
backgrounds and checks, and he notified us on, I believe it was Monday of the recommendation, after he did some investigation.
So it was apples to apples then? Boy, that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Just so the audience know, there was almost $6,000 difference. All in, you have something else?
Just for transparency,
Oh.
just announcing the amounts for both of the bidders. So K&K Contracting, Inc. was $17,235. Peninsula Concrete was $11,414.40.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Okay. We'll go on to number 3. The agreement with the DLP Marquette General Hospital.
As you can see, our contract with Marquette General Hospital to provide the Rampart service, emergency services is expiring in October. And we are looking for a renewal of this contract. And there was no changes besides dates.
Need a motion to accept?
It is a 10-year contract.
I'll make a motion to accept the agreement for the ambulance service for Marquette General Hospital.
Can I have support?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I'm just curious on, I mean, I kind of read what was in there, but what happens if somebody else opens up? Is this strictly just for Delta County, and is it exclusive just to keep, nobody else can come into Delta County and run some type of life-saving, advanced life-saving service or anything? I'm just trying to figure out if,
That actually is addressed in section 9 of it. That's where the county won't go out and solicit another ambulance
somebody
service.
else.
Yep, it's a private company that wants to attempt to do it. That's,
and these are basically the same figures that we had, like you said, for the last 10 years too, so.
Right. I mean, there's, like, what we're requiring on services, having a Ford vehicle fleet and.
Yeah, I noticed that in
Yeah.
there too. That's mandatory then. I mean, they have that now, or do they have more?
I don't know how many.
they have more,
I think
but.
they have.
they-
Minimum.
for-
But
for-
that's the
yeah.
minimum that, they have to provide to us.
Hopefully they never need to use them. Or that many at one time.
They're actually.
Busy
pretty
all
much-
the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
yeah.
I know.
Especially with transport.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 4, fiscal year 2022 state and local cyber security grant program agreement.
Our IT director has been awarded $10,783 to conduct a cybersecurity assessment. So we are looking for ratification of this grant.
Is that right, fiscal year 2022?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to double check. Thank you.
that is where the funding is coming from the federal government, is their fiscal year 2022.
Got it, thank you.
But it's extended, I believe it's like 2026.
Yeah.
I move that we accept a cybersecurity grant through this program.
Can I have support?
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, we've got to mention, this is another area where Brandon brings in money. I know there was another one that he had brought in that we got a match of 17,000 for some other, yeah, the insurance company, yeah. So kudos to that department again. Right now, we got extra money to protect our county.
Right, and this is great. This is the first time we've had the cybersecurity assessment done, so.
Excellent.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, number 5, airport grant contract and authorization, MDOT, contract for federal, state, local airport projects. Construction on the apron, commercial apron.
Yes, it's a mouthful. It's a lot to cover. No, these next two agenda items, 5 and 6, and 7, actually, the next 3, they're all related to that document that you had previously signed, Commissioner, the FAA federal grant agreement. So these contracts, the grant agreements that you previously signed came directly from the FAA. These contracts come from MDOT, and they just stipulate in writing where all the sources of funding are coming from, so we all know which levels we're obligated to contribute to each project. So these address each of those projects. The reason we have 2 contracts is because they come from 2 different sources of federal funding. And the third contract, agenda item number 7, is the authorization for our consultant, Mead and Hunt, to operate on behalf of the airport to facilitate everything we're doing in relation to these projects.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion on the MDOT contract?
I'll make a motion on the first airport grant contract, and I'll just put contract number 2024-0798.
Support?
Support.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 6, airport grant contract and authorization. MDOT bipartisan infrastructure bill agreement, number 2024-0800.
Is this, well, I'll move that we, contract number 2024-0888, 0800. I could get my numbers right.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, that's why I put it on there. Perimeter fencing, is it just design? Because it says perimeter fencing design, or all these contracts are 50, 60, 70 pages from when I was thumbing through them, so they're quite extensive. I just wanted to make sure that, are we designing the fence and then later on we're gonna implement a bid to have the fence put up, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right,
It's the far one that's too low. That's why.
all the way to the west,
North.
north? Too much wildlife
Well, where the,
underneath too?
yeah, under and over.
And this contract also calls for the designing of some runway lighting that we're going to upgrade and improve as well.
Yep, I noticed that too.
Okay. I need a motion?
Oh, we had the motion, we had
Oh,
the
the motion.
support.
Oh, that's, I'm sorry.
This was just discussion, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 7, airport grant contract and authorization, Mead and Hunt. Contract for professional engineering services, design commercial apron runway 1-19 and runway 19. What is that?
Reels.
Rails
Yeah.
You know, it's,
and perimeter fencing.
the PAPIs are precision approach indicators, and the reels are runway edge lighting. They're both used for navigation lights for the aircraft when they arrive at the airport, and they're in need of replacement because of their age. But essentially, this contract, Mead and Hunt, again, our consultant will be using to work on our behalf, and it stipulates the entire cost that the airport will be paying to them over the duration of the project, which is about $233,000. But that is reimbursable because these are all federal grants.
To approve.
I have support.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to say that Commissioner Jensen and I attended a special meeting of the airport board yesterday, and we had a presentation by Mead and Hunt, and they're very thorough, and I'm really looking forward to working with them in the future. I think they've provided us with a lot of attention to detail. No question went unanswered. They have an amazing staff, so I'm really looking forward to see what they can come up with for our county in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just the level of subject matter experts they had in the room. Yeah, there was nothing they didn't or couldn't answer and even say where it comes from. So that was just as impressive.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Bob.
See you in a couple hours.
Yeah. Number 8,
I'll be there.
North Care Network Grants.
Attached is a request from our district court, who does our drug and sobriety court, requesting that North Care approves a grant for $177,547.42. This will also help support the conversion that we did, or the transformation from that part-time to that full-time position earlier in the year.
Yes.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept the North Care Network grants.
Can I get support?
It's actually approved for application, is an
Or
application,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I'll amend that. I'll make the motion that we approve the application for the North Care Network grants. There we go.
Thank you.
I'll support.
Any discussion?
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I noticed on the information that we received that the deadline was Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Just wondering why is this something new that's coming forward, or what with the deadline date of that?
So we're just ratifying her application. She applied back in August,
Okay,
and then we're just approving it here at the board.
okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, this grant we're applying for, it's not guaranteed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I have my first meeting with North Care
But a good.
tomorrow.
Oh.
And this may be on the agenda. You know, is what I'm thinking, because I looked, they had a big packet, and they had a lot of stuff that they have to deal with. So it was pretty interesting to read that. I didn't realize that I looked at what they gave Delta County and all the other counties in the area and what they support, so I was pretty interested in that. So I will surely speak on behalf of Delta County on the need for this, for our sobriety court program.
Careful.
Okay, any more discussion?
So just to confirm, even though the deadline was Wednesday, August 14th, this has already been applied for? Got it, thank you. Just wanted to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah,
Any
well,
more
they-
discussion?
Well, they don't meet very often. Because I checked with them,
North
it's
Care.
like every quarter or something, and even this meeting that was tomorrow, the only reason it's moving forward, they had enough people to show up.
Okay. Okay. Yay. Okay.
No, it is,
Yeah.
it is good.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 9, resignation of C. Mertzer, temporary dispatcher.
We're just looking for approval of the resignation and then send the thank you letter. Or recognition of
It's not gonna
the-
be filled. position not to be filled?
not to be filled.
Okay.
So I need a motion.
Motion to accept resignation and send thank you letter to C. Metzler.
Can I get support?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 10, MIDC attorney contracts.
In front of you, you'll see two contracts. One is for the lead attorney and one are for the other contracted attorneys. They are the Michigan Indigenous Defense Commission. A part of there were some slight changes from prior year's contracts. One of the changes was we utilized a flat rate type contract, and then there were standards that came out by MIDC that required we had a minimum hourly rate. So what we would do is we would calculate what the contract flat amount was, and any time that they worked over that, we would do an overage check also. This year, we're just doing straight overtime. And then the other change is, of course, the rates, because those are mandated by MIDC. And we're also adding an on-call stipend. This is to designate an attorney on a weekly basis to handle arraignments.
That stipend, $125?
I believe that's what it was stated in
That's
there.
per week, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to accept?
I'll make the motion to accept.
Can I get a second?
I'll support.
Any discussion?
It's 55 pages, lots of information in there. I just want the public to realize that commissioners do their due diligence. They have a lot of work that they have to siphon through. And what I do is I skim it, and then I believe in the department and our administrator to give us the little bit of changes that are done and rely on that, so.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 11, out-of-county travel citizen planner program.
Looking approval from the commission for out-of-county travel of the upcoming conference.
Do we have also the UP MAC one? Or has that one already been approved out of county?
Last meeting.
That was
Okay.
the last meeting, yeah.
Okay. Just checking. I need a motion for out-of-county travel.
I'll move that we approve out-of-county travel for the citizen planner in Marquette County on Wednesday, October 2nd through November 13th. I don't know, it says no classes, but what does that mean?
It just
October-
means, so, yeah, just on the 16th, so
Okay,
they're every Wednesday.
Okay, so you go up there on the 16th and everyone's virtually?
Nope, so we're gonna start on October 2nd, we're gonna go up there from 6 until 9 and then come back, and then it's every Wednesday thereafter, except for October 16th. It's for the planning.
Just on Wednesdays.
Yeah, just on Wednesdays, it's for the, planning
Okay,
commission.
Okay, for, looks like about 5-6 weeks of classes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from October 2nd to November 13th.
Mhm.
Marquette County.
Okay. All in favor?
But we need a
Oh,
second.
I'll support.
any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 12, 2024 winter tax rate.
Calculated tax request from Shalice Northrop, our equalization and service. Oh, sorry, I didn't turn it off.
Okay, just looking at it. Okay, can I get a motion?
make a motion to accept the 2024 winter tax rate as presented.
Can I get
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Number 13, changes made to recommend the budget.
There were no changes made between the public hearing and now.
Okay,
Yay.
so we got to put that on file?
I don't think any motion or
Okay.
any actions.
No
Just
action.
informational?
Yeah.
Number 14, FY25 proposal budget
Okay.
book presentation.
You're on, Ashley.
Good evening, everybody. So today I'm going to present the fiscal year 2025 budget. This budget was created with numerous meetings with the department heads and then along with finance commission or committee. Before you'll see an increase of fund balance in the general fund of $68,000. In prior year, there was a lot of fund balance that we had used. However, this was planned due to American Rescue Plan Act monies of purchases, projects, and then other non-priority projects. Those projects consisted of construction of the multi-use building, the courthouse upgrades that we've seen, relocating the courthouse utilities from the old jail site. Moving on into the airport fund, we are planning on using $1,000 of fund balance from the airport for just operational costs. In prior year, again, we used some fund balance for $240,058. That was planned. It was part of equipment, repairs. We also had to hire that designated ramp observer custodian position for our AMOC. We also did a little bit of modifications, like renovations inside the terminal. Moving on into the county parks fund. The county parks is planning on designating about that 73,000 because we've spent $1,500 already for that OB Fuller Park project. So we have 73 remaining. Prior year fund balance was used to compensate the Delta Conservation District for management of the parks. Moving on into our MIDC grant, you'll see there's a large number of fund balance used this year. And the reason for that is I was talking with the individuals from MIDC, and they don't want to see us with that much of the restricted fund balance. We should be using these grant funds during the year. So we are using them to subsidize the operations. One thing with the MIDC grant is the county's portion hasn't increased in years, so this isn't gonna affect, by using our fund balance, we don't have to worry about the future. I feel like the state is definitely gonna, because of, well, state law, actually, they have to help us out. Moving on into the opioid settlement fund, you'll see another large increase on the fund balance. And this is because I believe the task force is gonna start allocating funds to recommended projects and programs coming forward into the next year. So I'm just releasing the current revenue that we have acquired in up to fiscal year '24 and into predicting what 2025 is gonna be. These are just like our major, larger funds, which consists of the airport, the road patrol, and of course, the general fund. Within these three funds, we have $12.8 million in personnel costs and $6.2 million of non-personnel costs. These funds average employee earns $63,634. This is also including overtime, holiday pay, longevity, shift differential, all of those. So in sum, every dollar that we spend 80 cents on the employee for benefits. And this is consistent pretty much with prior years. Together, the average employee costs the county $105,000. Here is a table that shows all of our revenues and how, or expenditures and how they're allocated between all the departments in the general fund. As you see, the sheriff's administration, which consists of the sheriff, undersheriff, our 3 courthouse security officers or deputies, and also clerical positions over at the sheriff's department along with the corrections. And then our second is the prosecutor office and the 3 courts. In this graph, this table, it shows the differences of between fiscal year '24 and fiscal year '25. We have added 5 jobs. And it would be, I believe it was our DRO individual in the building maintenance, the clerical position that's incorporated, it's a new position incorporated in the budget for the prosecutor's office. Converting the part-time clerical position into a full-time clerical position at the sheriff's department. And along with adding the additional security officer. Road patrol is also decreasing down to 14 deputies in their fund. And sobriety court, this is the transition from that part-time to full-time that we approved during fiscal year '24. And the service center is a full-time position with assistant support from the health department. They're looking for, because right now, we appropriate a certain amount of funding over to the health department for housekeeping of this area, and they're looking at if we can support a full-time position. Next is a list of our mandated programs, which a lot of everybody knows here is, of course, the Board of Commissioners. We have the Circuit Court, District Court, Front of the Court, Probate Court. Our county clerk, Nancy Przrocki, oversees the elections, the county clerks, and Register of Deeds offices. We have prosecutor and attorney, the sheriffs and corrections, the medical examiner, and we also do appropriations to public health, part of the maintenance of effort, pathways, mental health, and we also contribute to North Care. We have building inspections, mechanical and plumbing inspections. Some of the services that are in support of these mandated programs, we have administration, IT, and maintenance, which is a typical government. We have partially grant-funded programs, such as the Sheriff's Marine, which is located in the general fund, emergency management, veteran services, the Child Advocacy Center, and Michigan Indigenous Defense Commission. Some non-mandated programs is, of course, our airport, Parks and Rec, MSU Extension, zoning administration, the appropriation to the animal shelter, GIS through QPAD, and various memberships in community organizations. What you'll see in differences, I'm just gonna kind of run down approved from fiscal year '24 into fiscal year '25. So you'll see a decrease in local services. That decrease is last year, Hannahville awarded the sheriff's department additional funds, and we just don't see it in this year. The next is the interest. The county treasurer has reclassified interest to be earned into the general fund, so we're gonna see an increase in there. So last year, I went through each department, no matter how small they were, if there was no activity. This year, just to save everybody's time, so we don't have to go through a 50-page document, I highlighted departments that had significant changes. So one of the significant changes that's gonna be encompassing throughout all of the departments and shifts is the defined benefit contributions that we make annually. So, I complete an allocation based off of the actuarial report from MERS of 2022, like the, 2025 is based off of 2022. Those are based off of 21's wages, so we're constantly behind, but that's why we have the fluctuation all the time, because salaries change, employees, transition to different areas. So there's consistently moving of what department should be allocated, part of that bill. So you'll see I won't highlight them every single time, but they're noted in here. For one, district court, so the major change here is in GPS monitoring services. So we've seen in historical activity that we're decreasing on this GPS monitoring. So it is just reflected, and this is on the expenditure side. Front of the court, we have increased just estimated cost of living expenses. We actually are beginning negotiations here. So this is just an estimation. Probate court, besides of the personnel costs, there was a large decrease in their office supplies. This is due to a recent renovation we did this fiscal year of 2024. We purchased carpeting, office chairs, tables, jury chairs and tables. So we won't be performing that this year in this department. There was a slight increase. It didn't hit the threshold I was looking for, but in district court, we did appropriate money to help do a few rooms this year on their court. Elections fund, the only significant change in there is we're expecting less elections this coming year, so. And that's what's reflected right there.
Thankfully, Nancy says.
Technology, this is another common change that you're gonna see in a lot of funds is the American Rescue Plan money. We've been spending that money throughout the year, so we're coming to the point where we won't have as the abundance that we did. So there's about $80,000 reduction due to that. The prosecuting attorney, this is where the new position is being proposed. It's a clerical position, just to help with facilitating the operations over at the prosecutor's office. Also, they did renovations in their office this past year, so we will be removing that. Maintenance and custodial. When it comes to salary, wages, and maintenance, depends on what locations they're working. If they work in the courthouse, it's recorded under the general fund. If they're working over in corrections, it's recorded, well, it's still in the general fund, but it's in a different department. It's not in this 101-265 department. If they're working at the airport, it's recorded over at 295. So constantly the fluctuation in, so you'll see that. Also, large number, $618,000 reduction, and that's due to American Rescue Plan that was performed in the past year. And then they also purchased a vehicle, which isn't in the budget for fiscal year '25. Sheriff Administration, like I said earlier, your Sheriff Administration is your 3 security guards, your undersheriff, your sheriff, and the 2 clerical positions over at the Sheriff's Department here. So you'll see those increases because we added a new officer and then we did the transition. And with that, defined benefit contributions. Sheriff Marine, big purchase we did the airboat, which I did not actually identify as an ARP approved project, and it was. So you'll see the change over there. Corrections. So this negotiation is still open right now. We're planning on meeting in November. So it's just an estimation. We have an increase in uniform maintenance. We've probably said this, I don't know how many times at meetings, inmate medical and dental expenses. We added $65,000 to the budget because of that. But we did see we have less inmates, and we did see a reduction needed for Board of Prisoners, so, you know, a little bit compensate. The training expenditures, during 2020, a little bit later, we went through a huge turnover. We had a lot of new employees, and within 1 year, they are to have training at the Corrections Academy. Well, a grant came through last year and helped pay for those trainings, so we did bulk amount, and you'll see the reduction here. And then they are in need of a transport vehicle replacement, so that's been added to the budget. The only item I wanted to highlight in this is our insurance, predicting maybe $60,000 increase, hopefully not, but we'll see. Never want to be under budget.
Right.
Our transfers out, so our transfers out is our internal, like our subsidies that general fund gives to the other funds so they can sustain their operations. The airport is, we increased their appropriation by $50,000. So in the past, prior to COVID-19, it was around like 310,000. We have been able to keep that around the 100, 150. I mean, now we're up to 200, but we had COVID type grants to support the operations. So we're gradually getting back to where we were. So when we're thinking in the future years, remembering that, you know, in the past, we did support it at 300,000. And it may end up needing again. However, we're using their fund balance. Building and zoning. Last year, there was, let me see my notes on that. We purchased a vehicle. And then, what else did we do? We added on the plumber and mechanical inspector. So there's large increases there. We always had the plumbing and mechanical part-time, but it was 1 day a week. And the individual came from Houghton, now we have somebody right here. So he works part-time, 29 hours a week. And you'll see also that permitting fees have increased. So that's great news. And then also, building permitting and fees have also increased within this fund. So we don't need to use so much from the general fund needing support. Capital outlay. Capital outlay is where we recorded all of our projects that we were having. That would be a relocation of utilities, our multi-use storage building that we did, our security upgrade. So those projects are in the ends. We're not budgeting for any other projects that we have. The child care, not a very large change there. Upset funding. The sheriff approached the finance commission and was requesting funding through the general fund for upset. He was requesting that we use our marijuana tax money that we just, past couple of years we've been receiving. And the finance has recommended, along with myself, to fulfill and keep the program running through the general fund marijuana tax revenue.
Is there a part in your report, I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
go ahead.
That says what our total amount that we took in for the marijuana was? Or do you just remember?
It was
What- yeah,
170,000.
what- do we
I think
know what
it's
it is?
in there, but I think it was like 177,000, I want 170,000.
170, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
For establishment,
Oh.
marijuana establishment.
Thank you.
That we get per year.
And if you have any questions, you can just pop in. I don't mind that. Okay, Road Patrol. This is a millage-based fund. You see some changes in the current taxes, workers' comp. One of the programs has been eliminated. It's the Airport Patrol. TSA is no longer funding that program, so they are making adjustments on how to still have oversight over at the airport and then without the funding to back it. We did ratify last meeting the road patrol budget, so these are not, not estimated. I actually had a contract to go off of. They did get a significant amount of uniforms last year, so we're reducing the uniform maintenance. Again, we're seeing a liability insurance increase. During negotiations, they are foregoing one vehicle, so replacing one vehicle this year. And then we also have the American Rescue Plan projects, changes. They have a couple equipment purchases that are coming, and the removal of the upset funding. Then also recognized in here is the unfunding of the deputy officer coming forward. County Parks and Recreation. The largest difference is the transfer from the general fund, which I mentioned earlier. That was for the forest equipment purchase, or, I'm sorry, not the forest equipment purchase, we purchased that tractor. We did the Pioneer Trail Park, electrical and water, to Rustic. So when the Conservation District was still managing the parks, we were still acquiring the camp spot revenues, and it was being recorded in the general fund. So we've done transfer into the parks fund for those monies to remove them out of the general fund. And then also, we noticed that we over budgeted for salaries in this in fiscal year '24. I expected a lot more out of the seasonal hours. So we've kind of made adjustments in there. I expected also some forest equipment purchases. We came to the conclusion that it's not really just forest. It's gonna be forest and parks. All the equipment can be used in both places. So instead of having funding in two separate departments within that fund, we're gonna keep it within one department. It can be utilized in anywhere in that park fund, but building and zoning, like I mentioned earlier, building and zoning permits, due to the classification of the soil and erosion permits, I noticed that they're classified under the permit fees. So we're gonna be probably removing those, which will be a budget amendment in fiscal year '23. I guess like a housekeeping item, just because I believe that we should be separating those. Even though it's the same individual. We also purchased a vehicle last year, which we will not be doing. And one large increase is funding for the master plan that the planning commission is gonna have to start working on. Airport fund. A lot of changes. Going forward with the Airport Improvement Project, looking at $1 million. $1 million is budgeted for that. This may vary throughout the year, depending on the time of the project. Sometimes, we think it's gonna be done in fiscal year 2025, maybe it's gonna be completed in 2026, and we won't see the reimbursement until 2026 when the grant is closed. So that will fluctuate, and it's also regarded in the non-personnel expenditures on the bottom.
Is this $1 million additional money than what we were talking about? It's part of that fund that's being spent for the improvements and stuff. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, this is the reimbursement side, so we're recording the reimbursement of the revenue, or of the expenditures, and then down below, we're recording the expenditures.
So we're not getting 2 million.
No, unfortunately, no. Also, we completed our PFAS testing over at the airport, so we don't have to carry that one moving forward. That's great. We adjusted the fuel revenue and the expenditures down below. That is always fluctuating year after year. So we use past activity. We did decrease the airline marketing reimbursement expenditures just because we hadn't received anything. However, I did speak with airport manager Rand Sadler, and those funds will be coming back. So we will have to make an adjustment on that. We have our service center fund. Our service center fund, we had a large revenue in there last year, and the revenue was due to an insurance claim when the emergency generator went out. We received the reimbursement for that, so you'll see at the bottom of fiscal year 24 expenditures. We don't have that activity in fiscal year 25, so we're kind of going back to similar to normal. This is where that full-time position for the health department is going to be recorded. So you'll see that change in fiscal year 25. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that I did not address that you had a question on?
The only thing I'd like to know is, where are we in our retirement funding? What percentage is the county at? Do you know offhand?
About 72%.
That's
So
not
we
too bad.
have-
That's not too bad. I've seen cities down to 40 and 50%, so.
So going back into this slide,
Ideally, 100 or 110 you can even be, right? You could be over on that, correct?
yeah, I mean, you could be, I guess.
I was on
I mean,
board. It's hard to
right.
do, but I mean, you
Right.
could be.
You could. So we have 8.9 in the unaudited of 2023. After the activity, we're about 7.5 million is our general fund. Of that, we have 2.3 million dollars in our pension stabilization fund. We also have, we are pending on a $2 million payment due to reimbursement of operational costs. It was approved back in March of 2022, I believe. And so we'll be adding to another 2 million into there, so we'll have like 4.3. Also, you'll see below is that residual equity transfer, that's available to the county. Road patrol is at a 32 projected fund balance, and the airport is hanging in there at the 1.1 million, so. Questions? No?
I guess I'd just like to ask you, when you compare last year's report that you presented to the former board and you look at this year, how do you feel the county is doing in comparison year to year? Do you feel that we're on still a good path? Are there things that we need to be concerned about and looking towards? What do you see in the future year?
You're fiscally responsible, so I see we're going in the right path. One of the things that we have to really start thinking about how to address is employee wages. It has definitely been brought up numerous times. Commissioner Jensen is sitting on negotiations with me, and we're gonna have to start looking at how are we gonna finance. Yeah, we're stable right now, but, you know, competitive wages, we have to compensate for that.
Okay. That would
So
be
that
your,
would be like,
your major concern, right, looking
Right.
forward? Okay.
There was a 6-year period where there was no kind of raise, no cost of living
Yeah, we know.
adjustment for them.
Yeah.
So
We
that's
know about that
actually
now.
compounded. Years down the road, it's
Right.
actually compounded
Right.
even more now.
And it's
And-
hurting us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
In negotiations, I mean, I've brought it to the union, and they've been open and saying, let's find other resourcing, so a couple of them have been looking for funding elsewhere. But we also, as administration and commissioners, have to do our diligence to try to bring it up.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
That's a great presentation. Thank you.
It was a lot
for your
shorter
work.
than last time.
Yeah, but you did your work. Thank you.
Okay. Lots to think about.
Too much.
Now, do we need a motion on her presentation?
You could have one, but the main motions we need are A through L.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have to do those all separate, Nancy? Yeah.
Now, in the past, they have
Okay.
made a motion to, and second to accept all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Better if you do it individually.
Okay.
Individually? Okay.
Okay.
And they roll call for each one.
No, not a roll.
Okay.
Just double check. Nope, yep, nope, just.
Okay, here we go. 15A.
All right, I'll make a motion to authorize the administrator to transfer budget line items in order to balance the budget within the guidelines as adopted or to comply with state and federal statutes.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. 15B.
I'll take that. That the administrator to handle all other year-end and housekeeping items.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number C, authorize the administrator to update the county clerks of accounting and comply with us with the state of Michigan uniform chart. Sorry, I cold. Of accounts. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
I'll support it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number D.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget amendments as presented and authorize the administrator to make any additional amendments to conform with the Uniform Budgeting Act.
Need support?
Support.
Any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. E.
I'll move, motion to adopt the 2024-25 budget as amended to reflect the board's action taken at the 9/17/24 board meeting.
Have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. F. Adoption of the 2024 general budget resolution as presented with amendments to reflect board action taken on 9/17/24 meeting. Adoption of the 2024-25 budget resolution oops,
You're reading the next
You're
one.
reading the
I
next
did
one.
two of them, sorry.
Don't rush us, John.
I had my finger over the G.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get support?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. G.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2024 to 2025 budget resolution as presented by the amendments to reflect a board action taken on 9/17/2004 meeting.
Any support? Was that a motion?
Yeah, that was a motion.
Okay,
Yes.
I need support. I'll support.
Trying to get everyone involved.
Yeah.
There's a lot here.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. H. Adoption of the 2024 purchase of procurement policy and presentation. I'll make a motion on that.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion passed. I.
I'll make the motion of the Human Services Agency resolution.
I'll support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. J, Road Commission Resolution. I'll make a motion to accept.
Support.
Favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. K,
I'll make a motion to remonumentation of peer group per diem and mileage expenses.
I'll second.
any discussion?
That was, all this stuff was in our packet for us to read, just to let the public know if you haven't heard us talk about it tonight. If you read your packet, this stuff is in there, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. L,
I'll make a motion to authorize the treasurer to record the fiscal year 2025 residual equity fund interest earnings in the general fund.
Support.
any discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
Lot of reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Number 12, general public comment.
Chris Williams, Ford River Township. I know this is going to seem petty and ridiculous, but in your motions that you just made, it really, you should have reflected that they were fiscal year 2024, 25. Nobody said that. They just said 24, 25 because they read it. But is that calendar year? Is it fiscal year? I mean, these things should be more clear. And then I believe it was in G, the adoption was for 2004. And so that really.
No, 2024. I know that's what he said.
I know that's what was said, I know what was meant, but it should have been clarified in discussion that you meant 2024 instead of 2004. So these are small things, but they do make a difference. Meeting minutes are legal documents for perpetuity, and so making sure they're correct. And I'm sure that Nancy probably will correct them, but
Yeah.
just to point out that it helps if calendar year and fiscal year are defined. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, that could have been in here, you know, fiscal.
My name is Carrie. I'm a resident of Delta County. I live in Rapid River. I'm very nervous, very scared to be up here, but I don't feel like I have any other choice. My family on March 23rd, 11:57 a.m. was attacked by one of my neighbors. Came with a loaded handgun tried to shoot all of us. He shot at my husband 4 times, he shot at my son and myself both once. Okay, now, Mr. Herron, the person who did this, he is going through court and all of that kind of thing, and I'm not trying to bring up any of that. My concern is he was placed on house arrest. He was placed on ankle monitoring. He was placed on alcohol monitoring. That man I have seen him with a Bowie knife on his hip while he's on this bond. He paid $50,000 for a bond. He's walking around with a Bowie knife on his hip. I've called the police. I've gone to the DA. I've come right next door. I've gone to the one in Gladstone. Nobody is helping me. My family, he lives on the same road we share in Evesmont. They're not even, and then I find out they didn't even set up his home invasion right. So the home invasion thing wasn't, they just have him on an ankle monitor now and an alcohol monitor. His house arrest monitor wasn't even set up right, and Mr. Herron set it up himself. How is that possible that my family can't sleep at night? How is it possible that I go to these buildings and talk to these people and tell them we need help? He was put on a bond. He has not followed that bond agreement. The DA will not do anything. None of the police department do anything. They tease me and they taunt me. One of them said, "Why don't you move?" Another one said, when I told him and reminded him that I was not the one that broke the law, he informed me, "Not yet." So at some point, something needs to happen. We are like sitting ducks out there. This is my life now. I shake every day. I can't bring this up without feeling sick to my stomach. My husband is a 100% disabled vet, 20 years service in the military, and this is how we're treated. So I really hope, I'm praying that you people can help me, because the DA doesn't help me. And how can she, I found out today, she's not only the DA, but she is in charge of the victim's rights. How can she honestly do her job? How can she do her job? I mean, really, how does she put this man in jail and at the same time give me, the victim, what I need? I'm reminded every day about Mr. Herron's but nobody ever helps me with mine or my family's. I have a right to breathe just like him. So does my son, 19 years old. He tried to take his life. And you guys nobody wants to do anything about this man, nor do they want to tell me anything truth. I was there the other day and spoke to them. They set up a meeting for me in this monitoring company that you speak of. They're supposed to be getting fired because they didn't do it right. But he's still not on the on the monitor. He's still not on the monitor. Do you understand? This is not right. And I'm really hoping that one of you will help me, because your cops won't do it and your district attorney won't do it. We're out there left on our own. Thank you.
Okay, any other general public comment? Any other general public comment? Any other general public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to commissioner comments. Senator Crosdell.
Yes, other than the IT committee meeting I attended and was really impressed. UpCap, that was last Friday. They did their fiscal budget for the area aging service proposal provision of services to the elderly. They have come up with a beautiful budget for that. That includes your home care, your respite care, and your homemaker's care. I was really impressed with that. And then I went to Ford River Township. I had gotten a couple phone calls from some concerned citizens out there, and I, in my report to the Ford River Township Board, I had brought up a few things that was distressing to the citizens of Ford River Township. Got some answers there. I believe that's about it.
Commissioner View.
I wish the lady was here. I just wanted to offer, I would be willing to hear a little more detail on what's happening on that issue. I don't know what my part would be, but I would foster a good relationship to listen and check into some of the issues she had as a board member, and I'm sure a couple board members would do the same thing, but I'm going to reach out to her. I'm just letting the board know that I feel it's important to find out what's going on. There's always two sides to a story, and then there's the truth, you know, and I'm not saying anything one way or the other, but it's important to show that we do care, because I do care anyways, so that's kind of different, but we did have our draft opioid settlement fund request for proposal. We were working on that with the opioid committee. I think we sent it out to our administrator to kind of hone in on a few things of that. I might try and see if we can have a quick meeting of our little committee that we had for this to see where they sit on it, so that at the next meeting, we can have some factual figures that we can discuss and get that ready. The other thing that we kind of addressed with, you're supposed to survey the community for community input. And our public health department, Mike Snyder, was gracious to tell us that he does have a Upper Peninsula Community Health Needs Assessment that's available for us to look at. He did email all of us the page numbers and stuff to look on it. It's for 2021, but it does talk about opioids. So we're gonna kind of use that as the standard to look at on that assessment and community input. And they are working on the 2024 version right now. And one thing that most people do realize, and I'll just bring it up again, there are 200 deaths a day from drug overdose or people taking drugs that is laced with stuff they don't know. That's a lot of deaths that happen, and I know we had it in our community. Also, I was set straight by Commissioner Van Ginhoven at the opioid meeting, and I'm glad she brought it up. Well,
Oh, what did I do now?
I did a little research, and I was looking at Truth About Drugs. It was a free program that I brought to the board, and I was embarrassed at the end, not to the point that I thought I did something wrong, but it put me back on track on what this opioid task force is. And I just want to let people know that we're going to give the money out. I was trying to implement a program that I thought was good that would save money. Well, somebody else has to take this program and fill out the RFP, and we'll decide whether. So I just want to thank you. I mean, because I don't want to waste our time on that opioid task force, and now I will be focused on what our job is. Let's find the best.
I thought it was great material. Don't get me wrong.
No, it
really
was,
good
but it
material.
wasn't our job.
Right.
So I'm trying to do it, micromanage, I don't like it, and I was probably doing a little bit of that. But that was important. The other thing is, Ashley sent this beautiful synopsis of everything she's working on in the county and all the issues of everything. I think it's really informative, and I really appreciated it. And reading through it, I just would like to add one thing to that. And it's the fire signs. Because all the meetings I go to, whether it's the Township Association or Escanaba Township, they continually to ask. So I was checking through this, and it might just been a slip, but it's something that I think the county, we need to work on that as a board and make sure we get that I don't know how,
So, I'm sorry, it's your commissioner comment.
No, absolutely. I would like your comment on what I was requesting, because maybe you have something on the side I didn't know about, that's all.
And I might not have mentioned it in there, there was a lot of information. So the addressing, the committee is getting back together.
Okay.
The end of September here. And I did talk with Delta County Township Association to kind of give them an update in October.
Okay, well, that's great, because I
Yeah.
just told the people last night at the meeting, I would bring it up and see where we are with it, because they just want to get moving on it. Okay, I had a MAC meeting on Tuesday with Mr. Melner and a couple of other county commissioners throughout the state. The only thing I'm going to take on this is, there was some information on there for material management that they could help us. There's a committee or something. John, you remember what that was? I didn't write that down, but there was a program that we can,
They're gonna be sending us the information.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, then I'll
They'll
relay it.
email it to us.
Okay, that, I think the material management team can look at and get some help from this state agency. Also, they talked about the septic tanks. When they went into our session in the summer, we don't meet, they were at version 3. With no input in 3 months from the public or commissioners, they ended up at version 8. And the MAC committee was wondering, why weren't we involved in that? And basically, the two things that kind of changed in there was that there's an issue in there that they're looking at implementing point of sales as a time when you have to have the septic tank inspected. Not that, none of this has passed, it's all in committees yet. And then, instead of a 5-year turnaround, it went up to 8-year turnaround for inspections, which is a little better. I'd like to see 20 years, but that's where they are with that. Mr. Weary, our park director, said he wasn't gonna start anything at OB Fuller Park until spring. I'm just hoping that that project is still a goal and it doesn't get stopped somewhere down the line, because I'd be proud to be part of moving forward with that. And probably the most important thing is, we got radio tomorrow, and I wanna invite an invitation, our administrator, if she could be there at 8:30 to help me and Commissioner Crosdell speak about the budget, because there's a lot of important stuff I think you can do a synopsis on, and we'll support you, and take a little bit of the time, but I think you can speak best on what you said tonight. So,
That's a great idea. That's a good idea, Steve.
I mean, I was
Good idea.
writing notes, but I couldn't even.
Checking to make sure I didn't have a meeting in the morning, so yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I want to thank everybody for coming. We don't get as many people as we used to, and I miss that, so maybe something's more important going on, but thanks anyways. I like the input. I'm done.
Commissioner Kelly.
So looking back on, seeing what we've attended since the last commission meeting, Commissioner Jensen and I sit on a lot of the same boards together, so I'll just keep it brief. We did Planning Commission, and we adopted and updated our bylaws and our ordinance, finally. That was the subcommittee, that was myself, Amy Berglund, and Jack Smith helped us with that. So that'll be coming for approval to this commission soon. We had opioid task force, and that's going well. We have great attendance of our volunteers at opioid task force. I'm very pleased. Prosecutor Wickman and Judge Parks make great efforts to be there. Nancy is there, Ashley is there. So I really feel that it's a great collaborative effort, and it's one of the boards that I take the most pride in sitting on. I think Steve can say the same too. Yeah. And I feel like I've lived at the airport for the last week, because we've had three meetings of the airport board for different issues. And all I can say is that that board is very dedicated. We run into a lot of long meetings, but they're very informative. And I think our airport is going in a great direction. And it's very positive every time we meet. Let's see, tomorrow, UP honor flight, as Airport Administrator Rand Statler stated, we'll be leaving around 6 if you want to stop in. We also have Parks and Recreation Commission meeting tomorrow morning. That's held monthly at the Chamber of Commerce. That starts at 8:30. So everyone is invited to attend that as well. And then next week, we'll be attending the MAC conference, my first time. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Jensen.
The one part I really wanted to add was with the portion of the airport, and it can't be understated enough with us coming back into December, that change in flight schedule. And you can look at the historical data when the airport has had that flight schedule, how many more passengers are actually able to go out of here. It's substantial. And our airport manager has been working very diligent towards that. And the hope was that we could get there by summer. So to be able to get there now in December is actually going to be a huge boost for us as we go forward with the airport. I think we're going to see some good things, no matter which of the fuel branding agreements that come out. As the meetings that we've had a ton of, that was several of those, obviously, as the airport manager said, Mead and Hunt was one of those that we finished the finalization on tonight. But two of the others were each presentations by each of those companies that would do our fuel branding. So, in both of them, they're very well-established companies. So I think that will be an interesting process for the airport going through that and where we're gonna come out. Either one of them are good for the county. So that will be something to definitely be looking forward here in the future. The other one, and I guess I want to reach out with the comments. Is there anyone that wants to reach out to the prosecutor's office first regarding, yes,
Who's the liaison for the prosecutor's office? Myra?
No.
Hey,
You are?
you are.
I would
Yep.
recommend that the person who's the liaison would do
You're
that.
the liaison for the sheriff's department, Myra?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you could reach out to them, and let's nip this in bud and find out what's going on.
Yep, absolutely.
After
Yep.
my radio spot tomorrow.
Yep,
Yeah. Thank you.
yep, yep, no, that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find it really, coming up with a good adjective, how unhappy it makes me to hear one of them in law enforcement say you should move. I don't have a good adjective at the moment that really would convey how I feel about that. I
Yeah.
find it really hard to believe that it would be someone here. Could have been one of them that has nothing to do or jurisdiction in there. That's a possibility too, so.
Yeah. We just have to look into
Well,
it.
We need to
yeah.
look into it first.
Get to the bottom of it.
I'm
Yep.
I'm proud of her for coming in.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, and then, of course, Park and Rec in the morning.
Yep.
And it'll be honor fight first, so hopefully we see some folks there, and then over to the other meeting. So, MAC conference next week, and all yours.
Yeah, Nancy.
Are they having the evening honor flight?
They come back and, yeah,
celebration?
yeah. They, yeah, they do the live the live updates on Facebook throughout the day, so then
Right.
you know when they're about to come
It just
in.
wasn't mentioned.
Oh,
so-
right, yeah, we all
So I
talked
didn't
about the
know, are they
takeoff, but not the return.
Yeah.
Well, and even the takeoff time, be prepared, there could be some wait if there's weather.
Yep,
They need
Yeah, it's always very.
minimums to take off initially before they get here.
There tomorrow.
Administrator Young.
I do have a comment. I'm gonna have to decline my invitation on the radio because I did not have the county parks on my calendar on my phone. It's on my office calendar. So I did make a promise to Steve that I'd be there to assist him on orchestrating this Parks and Rec Commission. This is only I think it's like the third one, so he just would like some assistance on there. So
Somebody
I'm-
call Steve.
So I apologize for that. But thank you for bringing it up because, yeah, it wasn't on my phone, so.
it's all you two.
You got it.
Okay.
Your
We'll
notes.
we'll get you on Wednesday.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, then you can talk about the budget. I think it's really important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I definitely
do That-
want to do that.
Yes.
I just, I think it's at 8:30, right? Is the
Yeah.
I want to be there with
Yeah.
you
Yes.
first time because
Yeah.
I think
It was
you're
a,
gonna be good.
Yeah, the radio spot's at 8:30,
yeah,
so. and I-
considering where we started on that, that was a tremendous effort to get to where we are.
With the budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those that weren't aware, it started at about a $370,000 deficit, so.
I just don't wanna say something I'm not familiar with. There was a lot presented tonight, and I did look it over, but my memory will not remember them figures, and I think you would do much better informing the public on the radio on where,
Right.
what we did.
Yeah.
That was my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. I went to actually 2 conferences. One was down in Traverse City, and that one is the Michigan County Workman Comp Fund. And in the first part of October, they are going to be mailing us a check for a dividend, which is a very nice chunk of change. That meeting they only meet 4 times a year, and one of them is actually by phone, and that's the next one. Another one I went to is, well, let's see if I can, is the Great Lakes Rural Mental Health Association. And that one actually started on Sunday night and ended on Tuesday afternoon, and that was at the casino. And there was a lot of good, positive thinking towards mental health. So, learned a lot. I could bore you to death with all these here, but I won't. And that's about all I have.
Mr. Chair, could I make one more comment if you
Sure.
don't mind? Because I forgot this, it was, and I emailed it to you. I got some information from a firm in Chicago that is requesting some dialogue about Pinecrest to sell the facility. They're looking to buy the facility. Not supporting anything, but they have some ideas and stuff where they say a lot of the counties are getting out of the nursing home business because of the cost. And they, so I'm just throwing it out there. John, I emailed you that letter. I'll probably bring it up at the Pinecrest meeting, because we're at half capacity. I don't know why we're there yet, but I think we need to move forward. And at the last meeting, they talked about downgrading our bed count. And I checked with somebody, if you downgrade your bed count, it's gonna be very difficult to get it back up. And that facility is made for 120 beds, and we have 60-some patients there. So I'm just throwing it out there. It doesn't mean I support anything, I'm just starting a dialogue, because I did get the email from that guy. It was originally sent to Dave Moyle. But so,
Okay, we'll continue on. Meeting schedule, Finance Committee meeting on 9/19 at 8:30 in the room 222 of the courthouse. There'll be a Personnel Committee meeting on 9/23/24 at 11 in room 222 of the courthouse. And our regular Board of Commissioner meeting 10/1/24 at 5:15 right here. 30-day appointments? None? I need a motion to adjourn.
so move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. You made it through, John. Good job.